What up, YouTube? My name is Seabass. This is Throttle Hobby, and now we're back with the Beamer again. Finally, one of my parts actually came in. It's the cold air intake for it. So I thought, okay, today's gonna be a perfect day to do it, so I will do it. One thing we're gonna do first is we're gonna actually open up this box, make sure all the parts are in there, and then we're gonna have to take apart a couple of the stuff. The nice part about this is this kit right here actually comes with a lot of the stuff up front, so a lot of the hoses that we replaced prior to owning it we'll actually get to keep, which is nice because I can save a few bucks. So let's dig into this box and see if we have all the parts, and then put that in here and make all the crazy noises. aFe power, we know it's gonna be good. Cool, that should be just about everything here on this cart. Now we could use the bottom part of this to set everything up. No hard feelings, old friend.
Oh man,
So there we go, we pretty much have everything that the instructions said for. We have the extra parts for connecting, I'm assuming, the tube that connects to the mass airflow sensor, and the other one that connects to the original piece in there. We have the two little rubber grommets which go around, I'm assuming, the cold air intake cover from the engine, probably the bottom part there, and the other one for something probably that's going to be touching the metal of the vehicle. And then obviously we have the gargantuan filter from aFe, which will deliver us the big suck. And this seems to be all the parts. We also have the instructions right there, a couple key things. We'll be following that. So this is pretty much it. But now let me show you exactly what I'm rocking right now in this thing. So that's pretty much what I'm working with. The air goes in through the front grill up into this snorkel, which then connects with this piece, goes into the box with the mass airflow sensor all the way down to the throttle body. Now the new one should give you a little bit kind of a whistle. It's supposed to make kind of a cool noise when you step on the gas. That's kind of cool. It's supposed to give you a lot better air suction. So I know what you're probably thinking is probably like, Seabass, did you just buy this pretty expensive thing just to make a cool noise? Well, no. See, the thing is, the noise is a cool little second thing that happens when you install one of these sometimes, but the real reason you do this, it's pretty much because everything adds up. So right, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this, it says on the internet, it's supposed to give you anywhere between 6 horsepower, 12 horsepower. Let's say it gives you 10, right? You install this, it gives you 10. I think the car comes 225 out the factory, if I'm mistaken. We'll just use that as a reference. So let's do 230. That way it'll be easier to calculate. So let's say that gives us 10 extra horsepower. Now from factory stock, we've gone from 230 to 240. And then you do later on, let's just say from this, you go headers, which will, let's just say, add another, I don't know, 10 horsepower. So now you're going from 230 to 240. And then you go and you do an exhaust system, which makes the car breathe even better. All of a sudden you go from 230 to 240 to 250. Yes, okay, my math is correct. So little things like this that you do add up over time, and that's basically what upgrades are. So with that boring nerd stuff out of the way, let's actually get to this. So what we're going to do is actually going to take out the two little nubs here. We're going to pull this out. We're going to pull this out. We will be saving these things because later on that actually comes out with a cutout where that'll be saved. We're going to pop off the air box, which will be just these little clips. Take it off, take off the air box completely. We'll show you how to do that. We're going to replace the mass airflow sensor, and I'm not sure if we have to replace this or not. I know that the bottom one we get to keep, so let's just do that first. So let's take this off. Got my pliers. We're going to pull these two things out and pop this off. Cool, that's out. The next thing we're going to do is remove this cover, which, like I said, is just these little snap clips here. Should be one back here. Should be that impossible one down there, and then one here, which we'll have to get with a screwdriver and a pry tool for those two. So now that we've removed the two pain in the butt clips, I use this bendy 90-degree pair of pliers. You could probably use a screwdriver, however you want to do. And now before we remove all of this, what we're going to have to actually do is remove the mass airflow sensor plug, which with this little one, you're just gonna grab a pair of, you just use like a flat screwdriver, pull this up, you'll squeeze into this, pull out, and then we're gonna remove this bolt from the top air hose. We'll actually be reusing this, which is nice. Flathead screwdriver, pull up on it gently. Make sure that if it pops out, you can put it back in. Just at the top right here. Alright, we'll do that a little bit. And now you should be able to just pull and remove. Oh, fuck! Gonna have to go get that now. Damn it. Well, we're gonna have to lift up the car and try to fish that out later. But for right now, let's go into the taking apart of the back hose clamp. Just use a pair of, I guess it's a 6mm. You could just use a screwdriver. I use a screwdriver because it's easier. Undo it. Get it nice loose. That should do it. Okay, and now we should just pull, wiggle, pop out. Nice. Just to let you know, this is the mass airflow sensor. Do not throw this away. We will be reusing this for the aFe install. So now we're going to remove the paper filter. Goodbye, you've done your fair share of sucking. And now we're probably going to have to remove this whole box, which will be these two 10mm bolts. Unscrew those, and this entire thing should just come right out. 10mm extension, walkie gun. Out it comes. Cool. I think we're ready for the install.
Just then.
And as luck would have it, look what I found. Right in there. That's the clip we need that fell off of the mass airflow sensor socket. I'm gonna get that. Fishing for parts. Mine. Ah. I knew the games of operation would always come in handy. So now that we've put back the clip that we just went fishing for, or bobbing for apples for, that should stay on there. Let me talk to you about the mass airflow. Now, mass airflow sensor is pretty much just a sensor, and all it really does is just make sure that it functions the correct amount of air that goes into your engine. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've unplugged these before, and this car will start running like absolute dog shit. But yeah, that's pretty much what they're used for, if anyone was wondering why there's a mass airflow sensor put in it. And all it really does is, like I said, just regulates air into the engine. All right, cool. So now I opened up the instructions to see what the new part is, and now that we're step 9, where we've removed everything, we're ready for the installation. First step, it says, and I'll read it to you: step 10, assembly installed tube into housing by putting it sideways, rotating it to the position. Fasten the intake tube to the housing, provided with the M6 bolts and washers. All right, so we're gonna have to fasten pretty much this part onto here with the M6 bolts and washers onto the main housing. So let's do that. So the M6 bolts are gonna come in this little package, 2 of them with 2 of the washers. We're gonna need to take that out and install it onto the housing via this tube. So quick little tip, I was wondering why these bolts actually didn't go into this perfectly. And the instructions, I don't think they say this, or maybe they did, I glanced over them, but there's a port right here where this has to slip into here. So pretty much something along the lines of that, and then it pushes in, and then you can get the bolts in. So do that before you force anything in and break it. Now that that is in correctly, I'm gonna take the 10mm and tighten down these bolts just using a ratchet and a 10mm. Yeah, so now looking at it, the instructions actually do tell you to just put it in and then turn it. So that way that little lip goes in there. I kind of forced it in. Nothing broke, which is the most important part, but now that I'm done tightening these bolts in, with just using a normal ratchet, you don't want to over tighten these, you don't want to break anything. Good. Now we're going to put the cone-shaped filter on here using the clip that came onto it. So I got the cone-shaped filter, the clip here. And I'm gonna want the clip to be facing away from this, like this, as according to this will be sitting straight up. I want the clip somewhere around there so I can have easy access to it. So now we're going to take this one, put it on the bottom of this filter, and stuff the filter on. Filter is on. I'm going to grab the clamp it comes with, put it over the filter where it's got two little nubs that have this thing slide around. And I'm going to grab either a screwdriver, or I think that's a 10mm, could be an 8mm, and tighten it down right here. Cool. That's on nice and tight. All right, so here's the part that I had to figure out. So for 2.5 and 2.8 engines, you actually have this coupler to go onto here, so that way it can connect the actual tube to your mass airflow sensor. But with the 3.0 engines, we actually don't need this, as is actually said here in step 13, that only you do this for the smaller engines. The big 3.0, you take your mass airflow sensor and you just stuff it in there. But the one thing I actually figured out, because they ask you for a seal to put into the inside of this tube, there's a little notch, groove, and the seal actually should be where the old mass airflow used to sit, which will be this ring right here that I will have to take out and put inside there. I'll use some white lithium around it, and that should make a good seal. So that ring has to come off, be put into there, and then the mass airflow sensor goes in there, and then the other tubing that's already on the car goes around here. Now for your mass airflow, there's a little arrow of where it's supposed to go. So if you get this mixed up, which you shouldn't, arrow should be heading toward the engine. Remember, we're sucking air through the tube into the engine, so arrow pointing this way. All right, so little gasket's in there. You probably won't be able to see it, but I put some white lithium grease on there. Just some of the best stuff you can actually use for, well, rubber. Slid that one in, ran it over once, installed the mass airflow. The instructions say that with this clamp that you put on, leave it loose, because when you put this in the car, you might have to turn the mass airflow. So that's pretty much what I did, left it just loose right now. But now we have to install this rub guard around the top edge of this. So all you're really gonna do is just slide it in between these little grooves and install it pretty much like that. All right, so now the top rubber grommet is installed. You want it to hang out here because this is where that tube is gonna go for the plastic piece here that collects all the air. And one thing I noticed is on this actual metal tube there's going to be two sides, the one with the flabby underside and the one with the metal one. The one on the metal one should go on the outside, because you're gonna have to use that to make this bend in the corner, just like that. So now we're ready to take this and pretty much put it in there. So after taking it out about 2 or 3 times, I figured out that the little piece that they give you, they want you to just pull where it edges. So on mine, it kind of got into the way of this hose, so I put one here. I made a little cut right there, and then all the way down here is where I put the second one. So now I'm going to install, make sure that this all fits, be good to go. Also, there's a little clamp down here at the bottom, which supposedly fits over this little rail right here. That's where you want to put it. So mine keeps running into here, so I put that over there to make sure it's safe. See if it works this time. All right, and we're in. The only thing I really had to do was down there, there's a little line wire. You could see it. You could see it running along down there. I had to unclip it, put this on, and then clip it back on so it wouldn't get cut. It's pretty good. As a part of everything else, I didn't need the hose for there because it's not really touching. This part is touching, so what I did is I put one of the rubber rails there, and just to make sure that it doesn't slide forward, I just added an extra hose clamp right there. Attach the bolts, attach the mass airflow, tightened everything down. Everything is good. So now I'm going to add the snorkel onto here and attach to the front, which will be that piece. And that's it. That's pretty much it for the intake install. Everything actually got pushed back a little bit, which is nice. So I was kind of afraid of that hose, but it got pushed back, so that's good. I'm going to leave this on here just for extra protection. It looks, I mean, that looks awesome. I can't wait to get more of the stuff in there, but yeah, let's actually hear how it sounds now. That sounds so good. I love the intake suck sound when you really give it some gas. That is awesome by my point. So when we get that, plus the headers, plus the exhaust, it's going to sound even better. But as of right now, that is really good. Although the next thing we have to definitely test is go take it for a test drive and see if we feel anything. We probably won't, but even if it's got a little bit of pickup, that's a win in my book. So I'm going to go and get cleaned up here, and we'll go take it for a spin. Well, all right, we're driving. I could definitely feel a noticeable pickup in power when I step on the gas. We just try to get into a straightaway here, so I'll try to be quiet. So I really do like the sound it makes. I'm gonna try to get to a better road over here where I can open the window. Maybe you guys could hear it better, but I definitely feel a sense of power. So all the extra stuff that I'm gonna add on is really gonna make this thing fly. See if we can get any kind of sound from out here. I love the way that sounds. Well, that's pretty much it for this build. I mean, that was the intake install for the BMW. I love the way this thing sounds. Can't wait to actually add more parts for it. It's gonna make it even just more better. Right now, just that sound alone is awesome. But yeah, so that's about it for today. I'm gonna go pick up something to eat because I'm starving, and yeah, hope to see you guys next weekend and for another build. And this is Seabass signing off, and thanks for watching Throttle Hobby.